Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dear Alice. Today we've got a fun one for you, but first we've got Sue Hall.
Hey, guys.
And we've got Corey Place.
How's it going?
Very good. What are you guys up to these days?
Very good. What am I up to these days?
This week is my 10 years at Alice Lane.
Congratulations.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's so great.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've known you for 10 years.
I know.
Dang.
Over 10 years because
Over 10 years.
we met the fall before.
That's right. That's
Wow.
nuts.
Sue Hall, how long have you been at Alice Lane?
I don't know. Let's see. And like beginning of 09?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? I'm not doing math. It's
14.
Something
Yeah.
like that. That's
14
crazy.
years.
That is
You
insane.
started the place, Jess, so
I've
you're
been here for
pushing
almost 15. Yeah.
which is crazy.
I'm pushing up daisies.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun to think about like where we've been, and I'm excited about today's topic because we are now in I think like into this dream realm that we've always wanted to be in of making our own product.
Yeah.
You know, Alice Lane Home Collection. You guys started this, and you started to just kind of like cherry pick like inspiring lines and inspiring and artists and pieces, and that's what you would offer to the public when you first opened. Could you have imagined yourself 15 years later practically making your own product to put in your store and that growth?
I mean, no, not at the time. And when I think about the amount of passion that we had for what we were doing late at night, Sue and I in our high heels and our dresses, moving furniture around, and just like the passion of being like, someday we should have a book, you know, like those girls and the passion of it all.
Yeah.
Like they're so stoked about all of this, you know what I mean? And about where we are now. I think nobody gets to appreciate, you know, this, and it's pretty sweet. And I think that when we had David Phoenix on the podcast, he answered, you know, the question about how do you define luxury so sweetly, and that is having friendships for a really long time. Because as I think about Sue and Corey that have been with me, you know, for a decade or longer, it's really sweet to be in this moment where we're doing something we dreamt of, or we couldn't even dream of, and now we're doing it, and we're doing it together. And it's sweeter to do it with those that have been doing it, that know what that feels like, because we've been, you know, army crawling together.
Oh, like it's hard.
Yeah, it was hard. And it's not like you just came here when we were a different company. You know, like we were cowboys then. Yeah,
like
yeah,
that, you know?
Totally. So I just think it's an extra sweet thing to get to appreciate together in this moment on this podcast. But we're just so excited about the future and where we're headed. And I think passion still just like burns this candle really bright for us. You know, more than anything else.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's a lot of passion in this.
Every phase of it though too. Like
Yeah.
we wouldn't have stayed there till 1, 2 in the morning if we weren't passionate about it.
That was it, man. That was the gas in our
Yeah.
tank, was just passion and love of the
We would have
game.
given it away for free if we like,
Totally.
just because we loved it.
Yeah, we would have.
I might have shared this before on the podcast, or maybe I haven't. I don't know. But there was one time like you used to do like stylist training in the Orem store, like
Gosh, that's
early in the morning, and I was in there doing something with like, I don't know, Storis or whatever we were back then. Yeah. And I
Special
was
project score.
yeah, I just was listening to you like teach them, and I literally in the moment I developed a passion for interiors, and I was just listening to you, and I'm like, holy smokes, like your passion like was radiating, and I was probably feeling it more than the people you were like talking to. I'm like, yes, Suze, like go. So yeah, it was awesome.
It's a really cool thing to be around somebody that's passionate about what they're doing, and suddenly you feel it. It's energy and this vibration that's in your body, and you're just like, yes, and you're drinking the Kool-Aid because they love the Kool-Aid, you know.
Yep.
And nothing is sweeter, and
you can see it through their eyes.
Yeah, and
I
think
it's honest.
it is honest.
You know?
Yeah.
Think about honest people that we gravitate towards. It's because like they're being their true selves.
Yeah, this isn't a
You know, these
YouTube
are
commercial where somebody's trying to sell you
know.
something. It's just like a really honest moment, and it's just been really, really cool to get to do this work alongside people that are also passionate with it, and that we've been marching in the same rhythm for so many years together. You know, it's pretty incredible and pretty rare. I think. Yeah.
So today we're talking again about product development, and these two, Jess and Corey, are basically the heads of this movement. Corey helps like get the stuff produced. Jess is the visionary behind the products. And I think there's been a lot of different products that we started with. I remember like some of the first sketching bits with the design center, just saying like, let's see what comes out, and now we've been doing this long enough that we've seen some of these things stick, and we've seen the reaction from you listeners and just our clients and ourselves living with them, where we're just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I love this. It's inspired additional products. So just really quickly, we're going to get into the Lucca family. If you haven't, if you're by a computer on your phone, look up the Lucca. I kind of want to just talk to you guys about that. Tell me about the Lucca and the origin of Lucca, as well as any of your other frames in product development that you've just been so jazzed about. I want to know the why. Why did you do it? What void they were filling? Because usually as designers, that's what we're trying to do. There's something missing. And so we're trying to fill that void.
For sure, yeah. And, I think one of the luxuries of having a showroom is we've sold so many vendors' products and so many things over the years that we get to sort of visually and data-wise, we get to collect all of this information. And we get to understand what's selling, why is it selling, what's missing in the marketplace, what's selling again and again and again, and why is that thing selling. And one of the things that we noticed was there's like a certain size of cocktail table that we just always needed, and that we really, really loved around conversationally, because then we could put some furniture on an angle. Not everything has to be a square on the square on a 90 degree in a room if you have a rectangular cocktail table or a square cocktail table. One of our best sellers was like a 54 by 54 inch square. And it's funny, when you develop product, you really are all about the dimensions, because you're noticing this thing that whenever we get this thing that's the size, most cocktail tables are too small that are available and affordable. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're like, what if we made something bigger? Because bigger equals luxury. It looks bigger in your room. It makes your room look better. You don't have to buy 2 cocktail tables and put them together to get that luxurious look. Way easier to look, easier to style, and you get to have some white space, which is lovely. Too small of a cocktail table, if you put too much stuff on it, it's just like, what's all this crap sitting on this tiny table for in the middle of the room, So anyway, we came up with, I think, the perfect dimension for Lucca cocktail. And what was interesting about it was the thick walled sides, this really huge skirt. And then we did the hand carving. We're having these made in Indonesia. And I remember looking at the original drawing. I was working with one of the designers in the design center and I remember looking at it and being like, this looks too tribal. Like, I don't know. This isn't going to look. I don't know. Maybe it's going to look like it's from Pier 1.
We almost threw it out. I don't know if you remember that.
I felt sick about it for a while. And I was like, I don't know. I also don't know if it's going to get executed well. That's the other thing too, right? Just like when we design a house and we want this certain tile layout or something, and we're like, I hope it's executed great. Do you know what I mean? Totally. Like, make sure those grout joints aren't too thick, or it's going to look amateur. We got to get that. And there's all these really specific details. And we really wanted this plaster finish, or this look that was, look like an artisan had put it on there and not just sprayed in a booth, because it's tribal looking. Not really tribal, but it had this handmade element. You know what I mean?
It needed dimension to it. If it was just like a flat color, solid color, it doesn't.
Because we've learned earlier that if you're going to use white, it has to be a high texture white, right? You can't just use white plain, or
it's like IKEA.
It's boring, right? Yeah. So it had to have texture too, like visual texture to the paint finish, as well as these carvings had to not look machine made,
And they're not. I mean, they're 100%. There is someone making that with their hand.
Totally.
It's,
So obviously, Lucca, it's so fun. The leg, it quarter turns, and the carving goes sideways, and it has a slight curve to this leg that goes underneath the table. And it comes in, and I would think we were like, whoa.
Yeah.
I think it's good, right? I think it's good.
Yeah. We were like checking each other's pulses. We're like, okay, we're all excited about this.
Yeah. And we weren't sure, and we're nervous to bring it to the marketplace. We're unsure how it was going to, and I don't even remember the story of how well it did, how many it sold, but it was an amazing response. And it was kind of like first gen, right? We made the Henry entertainment unit.
Nina.
The Nina bench. All home runs, really, which is crazy.
Well, and yes, so then we had Lucca and the Miles nightstand. That was the first gen.
Oh yeah, That's right.
And I mean, I remember
Brand new factory, first time designing all these pieces.
when we had designed them, we actually didn't even have a factory. It was like, let's design them. We're going to design it. And then like,
if you
they
build
will
it,
come.
they will
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
See if they catch
And then it was just like, that's where I came in. Like, okay, like how are we going to, and then you just like start talking to people, and then like you meet someone who knows someone, like, you know what I mean, overseas, and like they connect you with someone else. And, you know, now and now we've worked with these like, you know, furniture builders, like these artisans for almost 5 years now. And you know, they have their input on it. That's one thing I love the most about Lucca. It was a very like collaborative thing. It's like, hey, like what can we do? This is, and that's why we almost threw it out, because it's like, this feels like it's too much. Like it's not, like Jess said, it's not going to be able to be like executed well. And it was, I mean, a very collaborative effort, and we worked like hand in hand with the people over there, and they're great at what they do. So it turned out really good. And I mean, that's why we created a family of pieces from it, because we believed in it and loved it.
Yeah. And a crazy thing happened for the first time in Alice Lane in ever, right? This had never happened before. We had this website, but it's not like it sold thousands of dollars a day even. It was just like, an accessory here or there, a clawfoot dish, whatever. And it just kind of felt like funny money. Like we'd wake up in the morning and be like, are you kidding me? $200 sold? That's crazy, or whatever the amount was. It was just like, we didn't do anything. We did. We built a website, and we're sitting there trying to make this thing go, but you didn't have the interaction with the client. We're a retail store. So the online store was fairly new to us, probably like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Like we weren't awesome at it.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. It was like very in its infancy stage when we were doing like product development. And I remember even being shocked by like someone like in Florida, like just got onto our website and bought something. You know what I mean? It's like,
how did they find us in Florida?
Exactly.
What's happening?
What's the internet?
It's so
you guys, we have our heads down most of the time, so I want everybody to know that.
Yeah, we're not really trying to.
We watch each other. We do our work.
Yeah,
that's about it.
We really try hard not to lift our head up too much, because we don't want to be influenced too much by what other people are doing. Especially those that are around us, that are all from the state of Utah. Because you can easily get a Me Too, right? Like we have a Cafe Rio. Oh my gosh, we have a Costa Vida. Oh my gosh, there's a crumble cookie, a crave cookie, 10 drink shops. You know what I mean? Yeah. Utah's this massive Me Too state. And I'm like, if I become a Me Too, I'm going to shut this thing down just for my own integrity. You know what I mean? Like, what is the point of that? And so I read a long time ago, an interior designer said, you got to keep your head down and you just crush it in your own lane, and you do what you do. And you don't try and do what the other guy's doing, And so we just do that. I don't follow other people, in our own space, in our own state, because I don't want to have to be influenced by it. I want to make sure we stay original to us, especially. So I follow people that are just crazy inspiring to me, that are better than me, that are doing their thing in a really awesome way. But that's it. Yeah, that's the rules of war for me. So anyway, so we put Lucca on the on this new thing called the interweb, and
it wasn't new at the time, but it was to us.
Upload it to the web, and this thing started selling.
Yeah.
And we have to change the way we're warehousing and shipping.
We had to get a new warehouse. That's the thing too. When you create something, you're like, do I think it's cool? Because like we created it, and it came from like a thought.
It's like your child.
Yeah.
Your baby. You're like, of course this baby's cute. It's really might be an
so
ugly
beautiful.
baby.
Yeah. And so when people start responding to it, it's very, it's surreal.
That's humbling.
Yes. Yeah.
Humbling.
It was like, we're doing it.
But also you're like, what happened? Why did it sell?
Yeah.
Like, is another one going to sell? Should we buy another one of these?
What's the trick?
Just kidding. We're like importing in a container now. So we're like, that's too many of the same thing. We'll never sell it, because we hadn't really ever purchased that amount of things at the exact same time or warehoused them, right?
And I'll testify to that too, because like even at market and stuff, you're like, ooh, just do 2, 3. 2. We'll just do 2. Because those are big investments, and like I can imagine like an entire container of furniture, and just like sending a prayer to Jesus and saying, please pray that this is a worthwhile gamble.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, like containers at the time when we first started were like $4,000, Corey.
Yeah. So
And then
I remember we like thought then we were like $4,000 to ship this over here.
$4,000 just in shipping.
Yeah.
Are you crazy? Our taxes are gonna look so crazy this year.
And then like fast forward 2 years later, it's $30,000 to ship a container over. We're like,
And we're
Hashtag
selling,
2020.
and we're freaking selling all this stuff. We're like, well, when in Rome, man, let's just buy the $30,000 containers.
Yeah, we already had it ordered and it had to get here because we had like, yeah.
The shipping was more than the cost of the goods inside
Times
the
two.
shipment. It was like
That's
you want to
murderous.
throw up on your lap in
Yeah.
a meeting. It was so bad. It was so
It's
gross.
like it's one of those things. If you live in California, you just don't look at the the taxes because
Yeah.
you just live in California.
Yeah,
So
you just
enjoy-
bend over
enjoy
and
that.
take it, you know?
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like
I
the
love
bearer
that.
of bad news. I have to like go to the meeting and be like, hey guys,
So, bad
shipping doubled
news.
again. We're up to
Here's some
25,000.
crumble cookies.
Yeah.
Eat your feelings.
Yeah, it was
Um,
crazy.
I want to say on the Lucca, I remember because I'm in my interior design like lane. I'm working on the houses, and so like they're doing all this behind the scenes, you know. And I remember when I walked into the showroom and I saw the Lucca and I saw Henry and I saw all these pieces and they were all beautiful, but the Lucca, I think I even texted you. I'm like, this is out of bounds. Like this is really really good, you know. And like, and we look at design. I look at designs all day. I look at furniture all day. Like that's what I do for a living. And so I was just so proud. You know, to
Yeah.
like be part of this like collective group and minds that got this thing from like paper to our floor.
Yeah.
You know, and the organic lines of the planing was just like so refreshing. It didn't feel factory at all. It felt very custom, one of a kind.
Yeah.
And anyway, I just applaud you guys for the Lucca, for bringing that to pass.
Yeah, it still feels so surreal that we were able to do it when we did it. It's nothing new. We didn't put a man on the moon. But for some reason, it just felt really cool to get to work internationally and import internationally and figure out, you know, how to get stuff out of Long Beach during a pandemic. And
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we've really paid our dues on a lot of that. But that first gen of product that we created was really fun because we created it with the design center that does all the homes and the remodels and everything. So I was like, if you guys ever need more hours, build a store. Let's create products together. And so every single designer in there was working on a different thing. You know, Christina Keller was working on the Nina bench. Nina is her nickname that her nieces call her, Aunt Nina for Christina. And so she did the Nina, and then, you know, we had Jess Telesco on the Lucca. And then, you know, like, so I would sit with these guys and we would kind of figure it out and figure out materials. And we're like, well, shoot, Nina's got to have leather. How are we going to get leather, you know? And
Yeah.
do we get it? Do we buy it here and send it over? And then there's all these tariffs and, you know, it's expensive to do that. So then we got to make sure and get leather over there. And we're like learning these massive lessons, the cost of tuition to be able to do it. But that first gen was all ALID that designed it. And then we were like, this is working. We got to get going faster. And then I pulled one of the designers from the design center that really, really loved doing it and was fun to work with and everything. And McKinley and I have been designing the rest of the product
And
ever
she's great
since.
at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and Corey is a great communicator and a great builder of things, and so he's even mocked things up out of wood here, you know, so that we could kind of understand like the Odette stool,
Yeah.
the
Size and scale and yeah.
like that exists in his house made out of wood.
Yep.
It exists everywhere else made out of lucite with brass glides, very expensive to build and make, and that was a request from the design center that said, hey, Jess, it'd be really cool if we could create a stool out of lucite so it works with every single closet, a step stool because women need to be able to get their luggage down or they've got to get that thing off the top shelf. And we created it, and it was so fun. So we're oftentimes leaning on our design teams, our knowledge of the showroom floor of what do we need, what doesn't exist in the marketplace, what do we think everybody would want, because we have to create bestsellers since we're buying these things in, you know, containers full. And then, you know, marketing plays a big piece. All of a sudden we're like, wow, we got to do launches and we've got to lifestyle these things and do more photo shoots. And, you know, so it's been really fun to sort of make it all up as we go and figure it out. And some products are hits and others are okay. We haven't had too many that have been terrible. It's basically due to, I think, the finishes may be off. And so,
Yeah. And some of them that we've just like got the sample done and we're just like, that doesn't work. So we just scrap
Yeah.
it. And I mean, sometimes we have like almost a year
yeah.
into a piece and we'll be like, it's not right. So we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And we just move on to the next thing. And I think that right there, like, for me, that's something to be proud of, because we're not like, we're able to step back from it and be like, we invested a lot of time and money into this, but we know it's not right. So we're not going to force it on people.
Yeah.
And there's like integrity in that. And I think, you know, that's something I'm proud to be a part of. So
For sure. We, that process looks like, you know, on Tuesdays we have executive teams, and the first half of that meeting is product development. And we'll take the team into the warehouse and we'll unbox the sample that came over. The white sample is what they call it. And we've seen pictures of it already because they've sent it to Corey, and then Corey will say, yes, ship it, or let's tweak these things and then ship it. Mm-hmm. And then it will come on a container with a container full of Lucas, and then we'll have a few samples. And then we really stare at those samples and kick the tires on it so we can make edits to it, changes the finish, whatnot. So we're not gambling on buying 40 of that thing anymore or whatever the number is.
Yeah.
Because we just at this point have to approve it before we see it. And now that we have containers coming all the time, how many containers do we usually have on the water?
I mean, it varies. I feel like they come in waves. But last year we did over 30.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
40-foot like high cube containers, which is a lot of stuff. So
yeah, I think I heard Drew say yesterday that we are making 600 unique products, 600 unique SKUs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I have one of my employees like updating some stuff on all of our unique SKUs. And so I like ran the report. I'm like, geez, this is a lot more work than I anticipated, because he has to go one by one. And I was like, I didn't realize we were in the 600s, but we are. So it's, I mean, like you said, we just kind of put our head down and we're working, and then we like come up and we're like, holy smokes, we have a 40,000 square foot warehouse full of stuff.
I mean, I guess back to Lucca, and then you create Lucca and you're like, that was amazing. We should turn that into a side table. You know, and actually Lucca's side is my actual very favorite piece. I love it so much.
Yep.
I want one for everybody in the world. I just think it's so, so beautiful. And
the belly of it is amazing. So it's like,
so
it's
pretty.
different from Lucca cocktail table. It's like,
the edge detail, and then the base feels very based on classical design. It's kind of reminiscent of that Corinthian column with the fluting. And so there's just something really, really lovely. The color, the height's perfect. There's a side table in my entryway, or in my living room, just off my entry. And everybody always is like, where did you get that? How do I get? Hey, I just saw that side table in your living room. Where's it from? And I bought it before I even had a furniture company. And it's a piece that's discontinued for decades from a company called Henredon. And Barbara Berry designed it, and it's this off-white side table with this little brass metal galley detail along the top, and the proportions of it are really generous. And as you guys have noticed, furniture over the years has gotten deeper and bigger, and the arms aren't necessarily higher, you know, because the whole Tuscan era is over. And so it's this nice low height of like 26 inches high, but then it's really big. The surface is really, really big. So I was like, I'm going to take all the dimensions off this favorite table that everybody wishes they could have, and we're going to make Lucca's side table these dimensions. And it's amazing. I love the dimensions of it. It is not a center hall table. I get that DM'd to me all the time. Hey, could I use this as my center hall? No, you can't. It's too short. A center hall table is 30 inches high. This one's like 26 or 27. So it'd be too short for a center hall table, but I keep thinking maybe that needs to be next. But then I'm like, no, I can't keep making Lucca things.
Yeah.
I need to just stop the madness.
We've had that conversation a couple of times.
I know. I'm like tempted to have a set, and we don't do that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I have the cocktail, but I want the side.
I
But I
know.
need a new cocktail. And
Yeah. Well, and then obviously you see the side table and you're like, well, shoot, this could be a dining table because it's the exact same shape, but just larger in scale and, you know, bigger top. So we created the 72 inch because all the 72 inch dining tables that were around were $10,000 by the time they were retail.
really rough in the design center.
Seriously, just like even moderate brands, we were just like, why is this so expensive? It's so frustrating. So ours is half the price of everybody else's 72 inch round. Every bit is beautiful. It's all solid hardwoods and no veneers. It's a fabulous piece, a fabulous value for what it is. And that was a huge success. And people kept saying, can you make a 60-inch? I'm like, why didn't we do the 60 first? Of course.
Mhm.
Of course, the 60 will hold
We're always
6.
creating-
But
There's so few 72s out there, so that's
Mhm.
what our market wanted. But
yeah, our market has
big houses.
bigger homes and they want to be able to seat more people
Yeah.
for Thanksgiving. And so, of course, we did the 72 first. But anyway, it's just been so fun. Really, really fun is that we just barely, for some reason, this thing's been in design and production, I feel like forever.
Forever.
We even have a 3D model of it that's pinned to our pin board. Like we made it 3-dimensional.
Oh yeah.
Because we were just so excited because every side is unique to the next one. And it's the Odette pedestal.
Lucca
Lucca.
pedestal.
Lucca pedestal, excuse me. Lucca pedestal is launching this week, actually, while this podcast comes out. And it is such a thing of beauty.
Mhm.
I just got it in my
Wow.
living room and it doesn't have anything on top. And it itself looks like sculpture.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be a big hit. I'm excited to see the response to it. But color's perfect. The carvings are really interesting on it. Base is beautiful. And anything that gets put on it looks like it's
$100.
a precious item. Yeah. It's really, really, really good. I can't wait for you guys to get it in your homes.
I'm glad you guys like turned
Mitered,
like
yeah.
directionally like some of the lines, because if it were just like kind of going straight up like the base of Lucas,
we all already get that. Yeah.
So it I feel like that's
it looks like architecture.
exactly.
And,
It looks like a piece of art itself.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
super cool.
I agree. I think it's gonna be a win. I'm excited for people to see it and gain their response on it. But that's like the last Lucca thing that we have in the works. But yeah, it's been our biggest collection so far.
Yeah. The thing I love about like just within design, when you're talking about the dining table, the reason why it works so well, you guys, is that you have all these chairs. You have all sorts of complexities in a room. There's lots of frames and shapes and fabrics and lighting, shadows, everything. But the Lucca, it's just so architectural. I use the Guggenheim as a thing a lot of time. Like edit it like the Guggenheim. The Lucca to me is kind of the Guggenheim of our collection, because I'm like, you can put whatever chair around the Lucca and it'll shine, because Lucca's not overpowering it, but it's just the perfect backdrop. And it'll do the same thing as the pedestal.
Yeah.
Like that could be parked in any corner and not overwhelm a space, but elevate something beautifully.
Yeah.
Same thing. I think that's why it's been so successful, is that it could go in any room,
Yeah.
in any style, whatever you are. There's a Lucca for you. I'm not trying to sell it, guys.
Yeah.
I'm just like that in love with it. And I just love that you guys have expanded the collection.
Yeah, totally.
That
And
pedestal.
the texture's not overwhelming. It's like a whisper of a detail because it's tone on tone,
And it's not a deep,
Yeah.
it's not a deep plane.
Your
but
eye
the
picks
rhythm
up
of
on
it's
it
so
and it
good.
adds so much interest, and it's classical in a lot of ways, and is also trending right now because, fluting and reading are just, this rhythm is so lovely and desired and loved by everybody. So it's fun that you get that classical shape from, the Corinthian column that we all love so much. And it's, played out on these pieces of furniture. So, yeah.
So regardless of the size of your house, there's something there for you. So
Definitely.
okay, if you were to, you already lived with all the Luccas. I was about to say, if you were to buy one Lucca thing right now, what would you go buy? I guess
I would get it depends on what you need, honestly, because the Lucca dining is a total gorgeous piece, beautiful with nothing on it or with chairs around it. So pretty, but you get that same effect with the Lucca side table, and that can sit next to a sofa and nothing can obstruct the base. You don't have to put chairs around it. You just get to see it, just this beautiful classical form, gorgeous edge detail. The color's great in every room, and the scale is amazing. It's the same trick that we learned from Ralph Lauren over the years, which is use a massive side table, put a large lamp or a huge plant on it, and it's just this generous interior detail thing. And also there's this rule in a room that says don't use too many legs because then the room looks nervous. Lucca has this really confident, one strong center pedestal base. And if you have chairs with legs that pair with it, it's perfect. It's one strong architectural feature in the room. So, I mean, I think Lucca side, but the cocktail table is bananas too. So dining room, a separate room, dining table,
I will say I have 3 boys. I just want to attest to the finish on it. It's been great. I
Good.
have 3 boys.
Yeah.
They're like rowdy.
You have Lucca cocktail. I have Lucca cocktail.
Yeah. No, and I love it.
Yeah.
And they like, we live hard,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been awesome.
I love
And
it.
it's kind of, I don't even know how to explain the finish on it necessarily, but you do have some like modeling, like a plaster, but it's just more resilient and it's not as thick. So it's not as scratchable.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so bravo to you guys
Thank
Thank you.
you.
for the Lucca. We're so excited for the pedestal to be released. Go check it out.
Yes.
And any other bits you want to add, Miss Jess? Mr. Miller?
Any other lessons learned that you'd say through product development that you've either learned about yourself or
The biggest lesson, because going back to what we were talking about at the beginning, for me, is I remember talking about our own product years ago, like years before we even started trying to do it, and just thinking it was so far away. Like, how are we ever going to do that? And you just like take small bites. You know what I mean? Just like baby steps to where you want to go, and you just start heading that down that direction. And has everything turned out how we wanted it? No, but sometimes we've been surprised with things, and it's been like, serendipitous. So I think it's just, if we want to accomplish something, we just start heading down that direction. This podcast is that as well. It's like, man, it'd be cool to like be able to talk about the things that, we believe, and kind of, set those as principles of Alice Lane. And here we are, like, is it 3 years into the podcast, or?
I think so.
Yeah.
Future and waiting.
We're on. Yeah. So you just gotta go and just do it. And,
And you get better in the beginning of anything. You're always a cowboy, right? You're just like, you're just trying to like figure it out, and it's clunky and it's clumsy, and you're like, maybe I should stop doing this thing because I don't feel very sexy right now. You know what I mean?
and you have imposter syndrome. You're like, man, I'm like,
yeah,
like,
no, for real. That's such a thing.
so,
you know?
and then you just, I feel like you just have to just not worry about that and just keep going, and you'll find your way.
Yeah. And I feel like if you listen to a lot of the greats, I was just listening to a podcast earlier today with, that popular band, the Chainsmokers.
Yeah.
They were talking, and they feel like imposters right now. They're like, we just have imposter syndrome so bad. And they're this, I don't know how you describe their music.
Like electronic dance pop.
Yeah. Like club and dance music. It's just fun. It's catchy. You can sing along on the radio, and the beats are just super fun. And I'm like, that's so crazy. They have 3 albums out and they still feel like imposters. But but it's really cool when you finally stop feeling like a cowboy, and things are working more, and it's a little bit more slippery and easier, and it goes a little bit faster, and you know what I mean? And it's like the making of things. And the fun thing about it is I get to kick the tires on a lot of this stuff, and they'll be like, Jess, do you want this sent to your house, or do you want to send them to the showroom? And it's really fun when I do say, oh yeah, I've got a spot for that. I want to live, like the Lucca pedestal just showed up at my house, and I'm like, ugh. I didn't see it the first night. I forgot to go look in the living room, is where I had them put it. And I went in there last night, and I was like arrested. I couldn't even, I was going to my front door to open it, and I was like, oh my gosh.
So awesome.
Are you serious? Like, I can't even put anything on it. It was Christmas morning as a kid. You know what I mean?
Totally.
But you don't get that feeling, even though you have little kids and you're still putting on Christmas for them. Somehow, like, there's magic watching them, but you don't always get to feel the magic anymore. And so it feels like that. It's really, really great. And one of the things I want to make sure we always do is that the quality is awesome.
Yeah.
I really don't want to do this if we're ever doing it to make really affordable, things that aren't going to last. I want things to be able to go down to people's kids. I want to be able to hand this stuff down to my kids, and I want to make it right. And I know you want to make it right. And we want to make sure that every generation that comes out of the Lucca, if we get a claim on something, we're like, why is there a claim? What happened? Did the craftsman not do a great job? It's every piece that way. Break it down. Look at, and we really we're really involved, even though I don't know how many Lucca tables have we made now, cocktail tables.
Oh man, I bet we've sold into the hundreds.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we've probably made about 200.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And we still really, really care about that 198th one.
Yeah.
Like we do the first one, because we just want to make sure we're always putting out something that we can be really, really proud of, and that you can be proud of, and that it can last, and that, you know, the brand is something that has integrity. So it's been such a freaking thrill. I don't like roller coasters, but I imagine it just feels like you're at the top of the roller coaster.
Yeah.
When some of that stuff arrives, it's so fun.
Yeah. It really is. It's cool to open something that you've been a part of. And to your point with like, you know, quality control, like we talk about it
every meeting.
And
go through every claim.
Yeah. Like what can we do to like, you know, like we saw that some people had issues with this and what's the common thread in that? How do we make it better? And, you know, I get up early in the morning on Wednesdays and I have a conversation with people overseas when they're kind of just getting done with work and like, hey, what, you know, we've seen these things, like how can we, you know, manufacture this better to where this doesn't happen. You know, we're like putting supports in places.
Yeah, we re-engineer it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it still looks the same, but then it's, you know, functionally different under the hood type of thing. So, yeah, we really, you know, I think I like that feedback. I mean, obviously it's hard like to hear sometimes. And it's like, man, I thought we, you know, had it, but like, let's go back to the drawing board and just like tweak it again and just make it even better. So,
what's measured is improved.
Yes, exactly. You know? So, and that right there, again, it goes back to like the integrity of what we're doing, and it feels good because we're really trying to make everything as best as it can be.
Totally.
So
there's a quote from this Art Deco designer Roman, and he said, if you want something to last forever, you need to make sure it lasts. So
I like
kind of what you're doing. Make sure it lasts.
Yep.
And buy that way, people. Buy stuff that
all the
last.
rugs are hand knotted, and we're not making tufted rugs or power loomed rugs, and we just want we want to live with it in our own homes. We have these really special, sweet, intimate relationships with our clients, and we want them to not have problems with it. And so we you know a client forever. We're on the fourth home with some clients, you know.
The manufacturers too. I mean, like the people we have making these rugs by hand, we're like in communication with them all the time, whether it's like DMing on Instagram or texting over WhatsApp.
Daily.
It's like I've been invited to weddings like in India, like you should come to my wedding. And it's like, I've FaceTime with you like 3 times, but they feel like family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really sweet. It's really lovely. Anyway, product development is super, super rewarding. And it's really exciting to be in creation and to creating the things that we are excited about, that we know there's a need for, and just like bringing things to life. It feels really good to my spirit, and I just love it so much. So thank you for all of you that purchase it, that live with it, that love it, that are interested in our story. It's been a total thrill of a lifetime. Thank you so much for listening to us today, guys, and we'll catch you next time.